Hey guys, welcome back. So we're getting back into the 2021 Robin series, and there's some pretty crazy twists in this one, which really have me digging the direction of this series so far even more. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week, and don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping back in right after Damian had just died in the first issue, with him rushing to start a fight before the tournament, to where Flatline then jumped in and ripped his heart out. But then we soon get into the aftermath of what took place not too long after, which is much different than what I expected, just going by the way that Flatline's powers work and her absorbing the defeats of others. But when we jump back in and we go directly to Damian's body and we see his wound gradually close up, and it's here where we get the gist of the different direction that this is going in. Because as it turns out, no one on Lazarus Island can permanently die, at least on their first death, and which is like one of the rules which Damian should have listened to before he jumped in. But rest assured, after him dying for the first time, he's gonna be more attentive to how the rules work going forward. But at the same time, we truly knew that Damian just wasn't gonna die in issue 1 of his own series. But if he did, that would have been like a one shot. Literally. But with him healing up and Ravager coming to get him, she first lets him know that she's embarrassed for him, then she gives him the I told you so, but then after that she takes him to give him a tour and kind of catch him up with some of what he missed while he was dead. And she lets him know with the island resurrecting the contestants of the tournament, it really allows them to show their skills. And at this point, when they're making their way back to the others, Damian, he sees Flatline literally flatline somebody else, and when he sees her, he immediately wants to get into a rematch. But Ravager then lets him know what you need to do is get more acquainted with these rules. And as the rules go that are given by Mother Soul, all fights are to the death, and regardless of how brutally or horrific someone is killed, they'll be brought back. But with this happening, you only get 2 resurrections, so it's essentially 3 strikes and you're out. And it's funny the way that Mother Soul words it, because she tells them you all get 3 deaths in the tournament. But when she continues, she makes it pretty clear that the 3rd death is final. But with the death rule being in place, after everyone dies once, that's when the tournament then begins. But then also, at any time on this island, you can only fight during the daytime, and as soon as the sun goes down, matches are forbidden. And at one point, Mother Soul, she even let them know okay, if you die 2 times and after that you just want to leave, no one's gonna judge you. But if that 3rd one happens, it's a wrap. You are done. But for the individual who stays and survives the entire tournament, they will then receive the greatest prize, which is immortality. And so now for Damian, after getting the rules out of the way, for him, one thing is just made so clear, and that is essentially that he does not have to hold back. Because with him knowing whoever he kills, at least they'll come back the first time, this immediately alleviates the struggle that he's been having with him not wanting to kill but being raised as a trained assassin, but then also running into moments where he believed that it may have been necessary, but then he struggled with what he learned from Bruce, who had taught him much later on that he could always find another way. But at this point, Damian ain't gotta think of none of that, and when he jumps out there, he's like, hey, game on. And it immediately had me thinking of what we were talking about last time with the Mortal Kombat cartoon in the combat time. Because when Damian hears the rules and he just jumps in, there's now no longer a thinking of a better way element getting in the way of what essentially has been in his muscle memory since a toddler. And I mean, some of those years have been sped up a bit, but for Damian, assassination is his speciality, and he shows it out here on a number of these guys with the quickness. But with Damian going on this flawless victory spree, because this whole time, mind you, they don't even touch him, because some of these guys he just runs right past, and then their kill shot is coming from Damian as he's moving on to the next person. And it quickly turns into one of those examples to where if Damian really wanted to, he could really be just a full-time savage out here. But then after running through a number of these guys, he just calls it a warm-up. And after that, he looks over at Flatline and he gives her the hand signal of I got my eye on you, you're next. But with seeing this, she just winks back because I guess she thinks it's cute, whatever. And really, I think Flatline has a thing for Damian. Just want to put that out there. Because she knew the rules when she killed him the first time, and it's likely that she also knew that fighting Damian earlier, that it would give her a way better competitive advantage. But after this, Ravager lets him know okay, calm down, you proved your point. Everyone here knows that you're a real killer. You did it, bravo. You're Damian Wayne, murderer extraordinaire. Ooh. But even from there, Ravager continues to give Damian some tips, and she lets him know that he needs to be aware of the top 5 competitors on this island. Top 5, top 5, top 5. But then from there she goes through a rundown of who they are, and first she lets him know about Respawn, who's chaotic, undisciplined, but still dangerous, but then also dressed in a way to where he very much resembles her father, Deathstroke. But then next you got XXL or Double XL. I'm not really sure which one he actually answers to, but he's a 10-year-old kid with an ego much crazier than Damian's, who's also accompanied by a huge entourage, which I believe boosts his power or his strength in some kind of way, not really sure. But then after him, you got Flatline, who Damian has clearly met already. Like at this point, you can just refer to her as the woman who stole his heart. And then next you got Black Swan, who is actually one of the last people to get caught up in Damian's killing spree, so in her case she already has one resurrection used already, much like Damian. But after getting that first drop on her, Rose tells Damian like that's not gonna happen again. But then last but not least, number 5, who Ravager mentions as the biggest challenge that Damian has coming up, and that is none other than, like we'd seen before, Karner Hawk, who like we had seen before was brought here by the League of Shadows to more or less force the hand of the League of Lazarus to reunite with the League of Shadows, but Damien and Rose aren't aware of the details as far as that part. And at first, with Damien seeing Carter, he believes that the League of Shadows is somehow working with the League of Lazarus, but Ravager assures him that there's more tension than anything else, or rather than anything happening like the two of them working together. But right after this, we then pick up something from Rose, because when Damien goes to get his duffel bag, of which he's like, okay good, it's right where I left it and nobody touched it, because if they did it was gonna be problems. But when he reaches for his bag, like Rose already has his tankobon and she's reading it. And when this happens, Damien gets really defensive because this book is very personal to him, with it reflecting this like fork in the road that he's going through right now. But with him going off on her, he also mentions like, well, why are you here? Because you didn't mention yourself as one of my top 5 threats. And in a way he makes it sound like she's doing this to kind of get back at her father, or if he's in some way the reason why she's out here. And she tells him to keep Deathstroke out of this as she watches Respawn take down another one of the contestants, which is interesting given that we don't know a lot about this Respawn guy as of yet. But Rose goes on to tell Damien that she's not here for the tournament, and she only entered the tournament so that she can make her way onto the island. But from there she doesn't really go into details as far as what exactly she came to the island for, but she does let Damien know like they can help each other out. And as far as what she'll do for Damien, she then lets him know that she'll help train him. And from there Damien's like, okay, no thanks. Son of Batman, remember? Like, my daddy beat up your daddy all the time, so what could you teach me? And I'm playing. Like, Damien didn't say that, but he did let her know that he doubts that there's anything she could teach him, and aside from that, he's here on the island for his own reasons as well. And later on when it gets closer to nightfall, and I mean like as far as the sun going down, but Damien, he then goes back out and he makes his way to the heart of the island. While he's out, he then notices that he's being followed by Flatline, and she quickly lets him know like she's not here to fight, because once again fighting after dark is off limits, which Damien is quick to then tell her like that's to her benefit. But they're saying that she's not here to fight, and Damien's then like, okay, well, what do you want? And then she just says zombie apocalypse, and Damien's like, okay, you're not serious, like get out of here. And for me, it was like little stuff like this that just had me thinking a number of times, like Flatline, she's just crushing on Damien. Because from here, she then tells him like she saw him sneaking out from his dorm, which already has me thinking like, why you watching his dorm anyway? And not sleeping like everybody else. But she tells him like, since she killed him already, like why don't they go from enemies to frenemies? But with this happening, like it's cute. And Damien, he just kind of allows it and just goes on about his way. But while they're here at the heart of the island, Damien then finds a secret passage, which is a first for Flatline. But then when they go inside, they also see writings on the wall that are the same language that Damien had seen before on the assassins that attacked him and his mother. But as they make their way deeper into the secret passageway, they overhear a voice say, "Is it ready?" as they step into part of this conversation. And when they go in, they find one of, or better yet, the biggest Lazarus pit that Damien has ever seen. And when they get here, they find out that Mother Soul and the League of Lazarus, that they have been doing experiments on this pit on this island for some time. And though we don't get the exact details of what it is that they're working on, Damien and Flatline hear a couple of these guys mention that the pit is unstable and they need to feed it more, but then Mother Soul assures the others that they'll have what they need soon, whatever that may be. But after hearing this, Damien then pulls a Batman on Flatline and he just disappears on her. But then when this happens, we also get another moment to where Damien, he he hears the voice of Alfred, which before, like we seen, was very much his conscious, or the voice of reasoning within Damian's mind. And when he hears this voice, he hears Alfred tell him, like, you know what you need to do, you need to call your father. But then Damian just tells his inner Alfred voice to shut up because he'll solve this case on his own. And as soon as he says that, somebody catches him in the net. Like, that's what you get for talking to Alfred like that, even if he is imaginary. But when this happens, like, Damian, he quickly cuts himself out, just yelling out like, you think you could kidnap me, only to then see that the person who threw this net on top of him was Ravager. And it's here where she tells him, like, he's too cocky, that's his problem, and that's why he needs her help to actually win this tournament. When she says that, Damian wants to go ahead and just get it out the way and just literally show her that he has the skills which don't require any of her assistance on top of it. And it's right there where she lets him know, like, that's the problem. And on top of that, when he hid his manga from her, that's when she then realized what he needed. And when he follows her, they then go over to the east side of the island, when she then tells him that she needs to teach him something that Batman was incapable of teaching him, which is how to have fun, because he takes himself too seriously, and that's how Flatline had gotten to him. And when they go over to the east side, like, a number of the contestants from the tournament, like, they're already there and they're having a blast. But we'll see how well this plays out for Damian, or even if he can make that type of adjustment. And so now, real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.